If you want to become a successful public speaker, it requires a lot of planning. And many people need to understand that. And I believe that you take this seriously and so you understand this. If you do not plan and you do not have clear, specific goals, it's very easy to go adrift. It's very easy to go the other way. Something will come on that's going to distract you. And so today, I want to share with you ways that you can keep yourself on track and not going adrift. And that is by setting goals. Now, many of us have had, if not all of us, have heard about goal setting and how we can set goals and all of that. So many times these things would come across as some form of repetition. But it's important because things happen and we forget what we've been told or what we have learned. We need to go back and refresh. So today I want to talk about why goals are important in your journey as a public speaker. And I'm going to tie all of this around public speaking. You must have also heard about specific or SMART goals. So I'm not going to beat too much around that. I'm just going to see how can you set SMART goals as a public speaker or somebody who's growing in that line or who wants to become better, because we all are working very hard to be better public speakers. So the first thing is, of course, specific goals. Why do we need to set specific goals? Why is that important? Because if you leave your goals vague, you won't really know what you're looking for. But when your goals are specific, your objectives are specific, it's clear, it's precise, it helps you to plan, it helps you to take the right actions as you grow as a public speaker. For example, if you tell yourself, I want to deliver a TEDx talk, or I want to talk on TEDx platform, and I want to talk about the fear of public speaking before the end of this year or by the end of this year. Now that is specific. Your goal is everything you're doing is to put you, is to expose you to the right people, the right platform, the right connections to get you into a TEDx platform. And you want to talk about the fear of public speaking. You say specific. Another goal I think every public speaker need to maybe probably set or prioritize, especially if you take this seriously, is the goal of connecting. Many times when you talk about public speaking, people think about the technical part of standing on the stage, using the various tools that you have, like gestures, like vocal variety, and that's what people focus on. When I get to see people talk to people and I say, what would you like to learn about in public speaking? They like to talk about, I want to be confident, I want to be able to tell my stories and all of that. But I think many times people forget that the fundamental thing you need to focus on as a public speaker is to be able to connect. Connection. So you can set that as a goal. That my goal is that I want to be able to connect when I talk to people. To emphasize the importance of connection, John D. Rockefeller, at the time he died in the 1930s, was $340 billion rich. So today he's probably three times richer than Bill Gates. But he said something. He said, I will pay more for the ability to deal with people than any other ability under the sun. He did not say he was going to pay for the ability to communicate with people, to talk to people, but to deal with people. So that goes beyond just talking, but more about connecting. I hope that makes sense. So you can set that as a goal. I set that as a goal, and it's important. And if I get into any conversation, my focus is okay, I just ask myself, am I connecting or am I just talking? If I'm talking to my kids, I'm talking to my spouse, the same thing. So the next thing in that line of setting goals is your goals. They need to be measurable as a public speaker, as a communicator, now as a would-be connector or as a connector, if you understand what I'm trying to say, right? So why is this important? Now, your speaking goals should be measurable. Otherwise, you will not be able to know when you've hit those goals. That's a challenge in many organizations and in many people's lives when they say I've set goals. And my question usually when I have conversations like that is, how would you know when you've hit your goal? When goals are measurable, you can quantify them. you can put a measure. For instance, if we go down to what I've said about connecting, you can decide to say, how do I know when my audience is still connected to me? How do I know when they're disconnected? And what steps will I take to reconnect? So it takes you from just, I want to go deliver a speech, to I want to make sure that I connect. So, what are some of the tests? You know, one of the things you use to know, one of the things that can help you to know if people are connected to what you're saying, what you're talking about is, do the people in the audience readily express themselves? Do you feel the connection? Do you feel the warmth? Another question you might ask yourself is, or you might look out for when you're delivering on stage, or even when you're talking to your team members, or you're talking to your spouse or to your children, one thing you need to probably look at is, are people feeling good about everything that we're doing? It's like you're facilitating a workshop and everybody keeps going, yeah, this is great. They want to be part of it. It's different from when you try to pull people out. I know there are difficult audiences. So sometimes you could meet that. I've met them before, I still meet them, and I know that it will never stop. But but clearly being able to measure your growth or measure if you are hitting your target or your specific goal or objective for that moment or for that exposure or for that journey is very important. I mentioned two things. First, you need to set goals that are specific. Two, the goals that are specific, they need to be measurable. Find a way to measure them. As a public speaker, as a communicator, don't just go out there without these foundational blocks. Now, number three, your goals, they need to be achievable. We live in a world where people bank on the motivation. Yay, you can do anything. You can do anything. I agree. But I'm also of the school of thought that while you aim for your goals to be really huge, audacious, and hairy and challenging, do not forget your limits. We live in a world sometimes people tend to talk and motivate and incite and try to brush aside the limits that we have. Let's not be mistaken, we all do have limits. But what you don't want to do is use your limits as excuses, but recognizing that they are there and making the appropriate plans or bringing out building the right strategy to go ahead and achieve your goal despite or even in the presence of your limits. So when you set goals, understand your limits. One of the goals you probably could set is a goal of probably practicing within a certain number of within a certain period or for certain hours a day or a week before your talk or before your speech. And can you do that? Let's take, for instance, you have a regular job, you do 9 to 5, so you probably work for 7, 8, 9 hours a day. You probably ordinarily commute for 2 hours in a day. That's 11 hours of your day gone. You've got 13 hours left. You probably sleep for 8 hours or 7 hours. That's 20 hours gone. You've got 4 hours to play around. And then you set a goal to practice for 6 hours. Just saying that. Now you see you're going to struggle. It would rather be more realistic, or if it will make more sense if you say, I'm going to take 1 hour out of my 4 hours left and I'll make sure I practice every day. Something like that. So that helps you. You create a roadmap for success instead of getting to a point where you get frustrated because you are not the goal you're setting is not achievable. You forget the factor of achievability, if you understand, if you get what I'm saying. So the other thing I also want to mention when it comes to setting goals and making sure that you hit your targets, you achieve what you really crave to achieve on this journey as a communicator, as a public speaker, is that the goals that you set are actually relevant and they align with your values, your interests, and your overall long-term goal or objectives. Okay, make sure that there is an alignment all through from point A to point B to point C. There's relevance in putting all of that. There's this story. I have a friend within the John Maxwell team. His name is Chris Robinson. There was a time I listened to one of his experiences or his stories when he said when he started his journey as a coach and mentor with the John Maxwell team, he understood that he's got 7 children. A set of, I mean, he's got triplets, he got twins, and he got singles, altogether 7 kids. And he wanted to be around and to help his wife, to work with his wife to grow his family. So he had options to go into mentorship or coaching or maybe do keynote speaking, public speaking, travel around the world. Now, keynote speeches or keynote speaking engagements will take him round. He's going to travel and probably be off away from his family for some months cumulatively within the year. He didn't want that. So he decided I was going to build my business starting from the point of coaching and mentorship. That way I'm around. I've got a set number of clients, but I've got time for my family. So he built his business around his family. I mean, for me, that's what I took away from that experience. But that's what he chose. There's some people that will come and say, I want to do keynote speaking. That's what I want to put at the forefront. So everything I'm doing is to get myself on speaking platforms, on organizations that arrange speakers and all of that because I'm ready to travel. So his goals, his objectives were built around the other things in his life that were really important to him. So setting goals that are relevant or incongruent, that are irrelevant rather, or incongruent, or do not really sync with our values and what we stand for, could actually derail us from our progress, can actually take away from our progress. And so by ensuring that your speaking goals are relevant to your personal, physical, spiritual, emotional, mental, relationship, family goals, very important, because these things will help and aid, or will help, or probably it will actually aid your professional growth. And it will help you to stay focused and stay motivated throughout your journey as a speaker. So I mentioned a couple of things. Set goals, key thing. 2, the goals, they need to be specific, they need to be measurable, they need to be achievable, they need to be relevant to your core. Yeah. We all want to be public speakers. We want to go out there and talk to people, change lives, impact lives positively. It's important that these things, they sync together. They sync together to the center, to our locus of operation. Otherwise, it will be hard to keep the parts together. So number 5 of setting smart goals is T, which is time. Everything that we're doing needs to be time bound. So if you're setting anything, if you're setting objectives, your goals, it's important to put time. Sometimes we're tempted to put the time thing apart. But what happens without timing is that we fail to see the sense of urgency. I'll give you one example. There was a time when I started with the John Maxwell team, the Maxwell leadership team, and then the advice I got from my mentors at that point in time was set a date for your mastermind group, set a date for your lunch and learn, get out there, write to people, to organizations. And I kept pushing, I kept designing training programs. I felt I was hiding. But the moment I set a date, I sent letters, sent emails. Some people got back to me, we set a date. Boom! I got fixated to making sure that the trainings are put in place, the things are put in place, the materials are put in place. And then the fear and all that, the concerns were all there. But I was now focused on delivering, because I had a group of people that said, we will come listen to you. We will bring everyone in the office. So now it's now your turn to deliver. So the weight shifted from when am I going to start to, hey, you're starting so day. It then moved from when am I going to start to, are you sure you can deliver? Am I sure I'm going to deliver? So you see, there's a movement, there's a shift. But without that time bound that creates that constraints and squeezes you into action, it becomes difficult. You understand? And when we talk about time, many people talk about time management. But I think there's an argument, there's a debate out there to show that we cannot manage time because you can manage, the debate is there that you can only manage things that can increase or decrease. Time can neither increase or decrease. And I love what John Maxwell said when he said, time management is an oxymoron. Time is beyond our control. And the clock keeps ticking regardless of what you do, whether you plan or not, whether you take action or not. The clock keeps going. You're getting old. I'm getting old. Everyone is growing. All right. And then he went on to say that priority management is the answer to maximizing the time that we have. We've got time, fixed time, rich, poor, dark, short, tall, dark, black, everybody, white, blue, green. It is what we use. What we can do is that we can change our priorities. We can shrink or expand. So that's what we can manage, but we cannot manage time. And that also goes into public speaking. We cannot say we want to manage the time. So whether you are today preparing for an upcoming event or speaking engagement, completing a speaking course, set a time frame and establish clear timelines for you to deliver on the tasks or the small objectives or the low hanging fruits that will help you to get your ultimate gain. We must learn to avoid procrastination. So I want to leave you with this, my friend, you that's watching, and I hope that this video makes sense to you. And if it does make sense to you, the least you could do is share with other people that are also on this journey and really want to grow as public speakers and effective communicators and connectors. And so I want to say that when you measure your achievement using the SMART principle, like I've just mentioned, it will help to transform your public speaking journey. I can tell you that I have loads of stories I could share with you to say the moment you set goals and you put your time in place and you recognize your limitations, and but despite that, you still go on and set all the things you need to set. Know that this is achievable and relevant. Boom, things will change. You may not get everything 100%, but here's what's going to happen. You will grow. For sure, you will feel it that you're not the same person like when you started. So I encourage you, all of you, my friends, on this journey to becoming better communicators, connectors, and public speakers, to embrace the power of setting smart goals as public speakers and as you embark on your journey of growth to the top, to become confident, more impactful, powerful, helpful, resourceful public speakers and communicators. My name is Stallone-Obaraemi Samuel. I sincerely do hope that I've been able to reach you, touch your heart, excite you, motivate you to set smart goals as a public speaker and not just go blindly without putting all these blocks in place. Confident that the road to becoming an effective public speaker, a more powerful communicator to touch lives, it's a journey, has its ups and downs, but you will get there. All you have to do is take one step at a time. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'd encourage you to like this video, leave your comments on other things that you think one could do, you think other public speakers can learn from in order to grow their public speaking skills and not procrastinate, but take action. Until I come your way again, my sincere desire for you is that you go on succeeding by becoming a better version of yourself. And bye for now.